simplex method, and we discussed even about transportation problem, assignment problem, game theory, as well as block 3. We discussed about the topic game theory. Before the game theory, what was that? Do you remember? So now we are going to discuss about block 4 and 5 as a theoretical part. That is an extension of the block 2 and 3. Yeah, Akhil Raja. The name I can see, Akhil Raja, actor. If you want to say something, you can unmute and you can ask the question. Is that okay?
Okay.
Normally, when you start your, if you unmute it, there are some disturbances coming in the class. That's why I said to you. If you have any doubt, you can unmute and you can ask the question.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. Just confirm me. You're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We have a block 4 related to decision analysis. Means we need to take a decision in any of the areas, in any of the fields at that moment. Some techniques we will apply. So in the operation research topic, what we discussed previously, or all are related to the techniques only as a linear programming problem. When the variables, key variables and the objective function is known with the finite variables, finite constraints, then we can apply the linear programming problems. And in that graphical method and simplex method we discussed. After that, we discussed about the transportation problem, how the transportation problem is to be involved, how to find out the best solution with the different methods. Right, even in the assignment problems also, assigning the jobs to the workers, how the optimal solution will be found out. Then we discussed about the game theory that is there. That is also finding out the way of winning the game. Right.
Some disturbance is coming, sir.
Still.
Host is not muted. Host not muted.
That's what I'm trying to mute it. Mute all. Are you getting the disturbance from there? Still? Okay. Is this clear?
No.
Right. So decision analysis is a block code where we take the decisions by means of the solutions only. So the techniques which we'll be using it. So the point is here, decision making under uncertainty. There are some uncertain situations happens even in the calamities, in the nature also there may be a disturbances happens like earthquake, floods, or the tsunami. All these are the uncertainty situations. At that moment also we need to take some decisions. Even in the businesses also some uncertainty situation happens. Like example, there was a lockdown in the COVID where you can't run your business, you can't continue your business, you can't produce your product without the people, without the product, without the raw material. So like that, some uncertainty situations at that moment, how to take a decision. That decision making should, will be based on some criteria. Like an example, if you'll take elements of a decision analysis, normally example we took here is bidding for a government contract at scientific tools. These scientific tools are supplying, want to supply to the government uh, by uh, submitting a what we can say tender. Bidding is nothing but the tender. You want to prepare a tender where your expenditure must be less. You should get a profit from that contract. So that government contract you want to make it. This decision analysis, by taking an example, we are going to discuss it like for a government contract at scientific tools. So for that scientific tools, go with the scientific tools incorporated, specialized in scientific instruments, and has been invited to make a bid on a government contract to provide these instruments this coming year. So coming year, we want to put a tender to supply the scientific instruments to the government department. That government contract we want. So what to do? So scientific tools estimated that it will cost $5,000 to prepare a bid. To make a tender also, you need to spend some amount that is around $5,000 and $95,000 to supply the instruments. So we require both of them. We require both of them on the basis of the past contracts. Scientific tools estimated that the probability of low bid from competitors at a certain dollar levels. So from the past contracts also, we estimated how much will be the low one. In addition, they believe there is a 30% chance that there will be no competing bids. Means what you are estimating, you are believing that in addition to the past contracts, we framed the low bid, even though we are thinking that there won't be any competitor in the contract. So the chance for that contract, which we will be getting, it is 30% chance of that. So they believe that there is a chance of 30% that there won't be any competitor coming in between the contract, government contract, and with us. So that these are all the information which we got from the previous data, and we want to frame it. So decision making elements, normally what we need to take the decision on, that we need to work out. Although there is a wide variety of contexts in decision making, so all decision making problems have three elements. So we took an example, but every decision making problem have three elements. One is set of decisions, means set of strategies available to the decision maker. So whoever wants to take a decision, they'll be having a some set of policies, you can say, or strategies, you can say, to make a decision, and set of possible outcomes. If you apply one technique, what will be the outcome of that technique? So if you are going with the policy of a particular policy, then what will be the output? That also you need to know. So set of decisions, a set of possible outcomes, and the probabilities of these outcomes means how much chance is there to get that output only. What we are expecting, that output, whatever we are expecting, how much chance is there to get that output. And a value model that prescribes the results, usually monetary values. So most of the things will be in the money only for the various combinations of decisions and outcomes. So everything will be in terms of money if you consider, then easy to frame a questionnaire and easy to solve and easy to get the decision. That decision you can apply it in your business also. Once these elements are known, the decision maker can find an optimal decision. That is what I told. If you know it, all these things in your business as a set of decisions, after taking those decisions, what may be the possible outcomes, and that outcomes chance is how much, and the value which we will present in the form of a results will be in the monetary terms, then we can take a decisions for an optimal solution. So to get the best solution, how to consider, how to take. So decision making elements will have three sets, three things, three elements. If these three are there, then you can take a decision where you can reach your goal. So for our example, bidding for a government contracted scientific tools, where the scientific tools decision is whether to submit a bid and how much they should bid. That is the amount. The bid must be greater than 1 lakh for scientific tools to make a profit. That is also another condition here in this example which we took to make a tender. Based on the estimated probabilities, scientific tools should bid either 1,15,000, 1,20,000, 1,25,000. Why? We will assume that they will never bid less than $1,15,000 or more than $1,25,000. This is based on the previous cost. Due to the small profit margin or low chances of winning the bid. Low chances of winning the bid means to get that contract, your range must be in between 115 and 125. So your bid must be either 1,15,000 or 1,20,000 or 1,25,000. In between only it must be, so that you will be getting your contract. So that is normally conditions we can say for this government contract. To get the tender, we need to make a tender in this. Primary source of uncertainty is the behavior of the competitors. Will they bid, and if so, how much? Is actually your uncertainty. You are taking the decision under some uncertainty. That's why what is the uncertainty in this contract is the competitor's behavior. Will they bid it or not? If so, how much will be the bid amount? Will it be less than 1,15,000 or more than 1,25,000? That is only the point where we need to assume or we need to take care of uncertainty position. So to take any decision, we need to study all this. So here one of the example we took is bidding for a government contract with scientific tools. And the behavior of the competitors depends on how many competitors are likely to bid and how the competitors assess their cost of supplying the instruments. That is also the point where you need to concentrate on the competitors, that how many competitors are there, depends on how much information they are gathering and how they are bidding their contracts to supply the instruments. So this study is necessary before giving a tender to the government contract. So for that bidding, we need to gather the information. Any of the thing you need to take an information before taking any decision. You need to study and you need to find out whether our decision will get a good output or not. Based on that only, we will take some decision in the business. So this is one example we took wherein we need to identify how many competitors are there and how competitors assess their cost of supply. Then coming to the value mode. In this example is straightforward, but in other examples, it is often complex. More of the questions will be complex problems will be there, but here our question is straightforward only, as in the example of government contract. The value model in this example, what is there? If scientific tools decides right now not to bid, then its monetary value is zero, no gain, no loss, because you are not willing to give a tender. That is one point. The second, if they make a bid and are underbid by a competitor, then they lose $5,000, the cost of preparing the bill. Means what? Competitor is giving a tender with you also, then he is bidding less than our cost, means less than our tender, then the competitor is going to be the person who is taking care of the contract and he is doing his supply of the goods. Then what is our loss? Our loss is the $5,000 to make or to prepare the bid. That is the cost of preparing the bid, only the loss, no further loss. Okay. If you won't bid, if you won't take a participation in the tenders, no gain, no loss. But if you take a participation and we are losing it, then there is a loss of 5,000. If the bid $3 and win the contract, then they make a profit of 1 lakh rupees. Okay, $1 lakh. That is B's dollar for winning the bid, less 5,000 for preparing the bid, less 95,000 for supplying the instrument. So it is often convenient to list the monetary values in a payoff table. That is actually the point where we need to concentrate to participate in the tender preparation. These are all the straightforward examples for our contract. So if you conveniently list out the monetary values in payoff table, then how it appears. That payoff table is prepared. You can see payoff table for scientific tool bidding example. So competitors low bid as $1,000. Bid level is no bid 115, 120, 125. Competitor is also with us. He is also bidding for it and less than 115, less than 120, in between 120 and 125, and greater than 125. So if there is no bid, no competitors bid, then totally it is zero. Competitor is also not applying. We are also not applying for the contract to get the contract. So there is no loss, no profit. Zero will be the value. Where if we go for the bid at 1,15,000, then our profit will be 15,000 because the total cost incurs is 1 lakh, including the cost of bidding. 95 supply, 5 is cost for preparing the bid. Totally 1 lakh will be the expenditure. If the competitor is not bidding for it, then there is a profit of 15,000. It is for 120, 20,000, 125, 25,000. That is based on the bid level. You can see the first here, the column, no bid by competitor, where we made a bid, big level. So 115 is 15, 120 is 20, 125 is 25 is the profit for us. It is less than 115, less than 115 units, then zero bid if there is no bid. Less than 150 and less than, both are less than 150 only, then there is a loss of 5,000. Okay, less than 115, who is keeping less than 115? Competitor is keeping less than 115 as a contract. Then we are getting a loss for this is 5,000 only. We did not spend to supply it, and we won't be getting the profit. If the competitor is in between 150, more than 150, less than 150. So if we are also keeping it 150, then that is a profit of 15. They are keeping 120 and ours is 120, then loss of 5,000. Like this, there is a payoff table, we'll call it as we are. If the competitor is taking a decision in between this, and we are taking a decision for 150, 120, 125, then how much is the profit, how much is the loss? Okay. If he is taking more than 120 and our bid is 150, then ours is less than competitors' cost. So obviously we'll be getting the contract, and there we'll be getting a profit of 15,000. If you are taking 120 and more than 120 by competitor, then we'll be getting the contract, and there is a profit of 20. Our contract price is 125 and his price is less than 125. The contract, we won't get it, so there is a loss of 5,000, which is the cost of preparing a bid. If the competitor is more than 125, we'll be getting a profit of 115, 20, 25, because we are exactly 120 or 115 or 125. So this is actually the table preparation with the information, right? So for this, there will be a probability of getting the profit for this. How much is the probability? Means 0.3 without a bid, with bid 0.7. So few of competitor means you are involved in that one and you are getting a profit. Then 0.7, 30% is actually the probability chance of getting it, where 70% we are not getting it. So 30% chance, if there is a chance of 30%, then we'll be getting a profit in this way, or is there is a loss. This is totally a payoff table. Alternative payoff table for scientific tools bidding example, you can see monetary value, we made it. No bid, no win, no lose. So probability that scientific tool wins is 0 only first time. If you take a decision at 115, then there is a winning chance of contract and getting a profit of 15, and the losing is 5,000. Okay, 15 is the profit, 5,000 is the loss. So probability for this is 0.86. If it is 120, 0.5, 25 is 0.37. This is actually the probability of winning chances are there. If we take a decision at 115, 120, 125, what is the chance?
Not understood, sir.
Didn't get it.
We are allocating which one? Not
So this,
understood.
how this
Go to the
probability is
previous slide.
calculated?
If you go with
Probability
the
column.
previous slide, you can see here there is a possibility of 70% for the opposite person. For us, 30%.
Can you explain first one from first one? First one.
This one first. This table?
Yes, sir. First. Yes, sir. This one. From first onwards, explain this.
There is a cost for making a bid is $5,000, right? And if the bid,
it is a participation amount, right?
Participation amount only.
Minimum first participation.
Preparing the bid for our participation in the contract.
Yes.
You won't participate, no profit, no loss. If you participate and losing it, $5,000 will be.
Okay, if they win, they got the 1 lakh.
If $B, they bid $B and win the contract, then they make a profit of 1 lakh. That is $B for winning the bid less 5,000. So for preparing the bid, 95,000 for supplying it.
95,000 only we are supplying.
No, for supplying it, the expenditure incurs is 95. For preparing the bid, 5,000. So totally it comes to 1 lakh. Total expenditure is 1 lakh.
Okay, sir. Table, sir. Table not understood.
Yeah. There is a point also you can see. These are all the conditions what we discussed. 115, 120, 125. We can't go beyond that or less than 150 to get the profit and to get the chance also. Right. So payoff table why we are preparing is we alone are not there to give the tender. The competitors are there who may give a low bid also sometimes. Okay. So if that is the case, what happens compared to our level? Our bid level is no bid first, 115, 120, 125. He's also the same. If there is no bid, there is no profit, no loss, zero. He is not bidding competitor on the top, no bid for the competitor. For us, the bid levels are here. He did not apply for and we applied at 115. We'll be getting a profit of 150 because 1 lakh will be the expenditure. Right?
Okay, sir.
Are you getting my point? Still doubt? Say this is the total expenditure, thousands omitted. 1,15,000 is the bid.
Okay.
If the competitor is not applying for it, no bid, then we'll be getting a chance of winning the contract. Right?
Okay.
If we got a contract for 1,15,000, we need to spend 1 lakh rupees for supplying and making a bid. So how much is our profit? Profit is 50. Right? Okay. That is what I want to say. If we are applying for 120 and competitor is not applying for it, then we got a profit. We'll be winning the contract and we'll be getting a profit of 20. Similarly, 125 we applied and he did not made a bid. Competitor is not at all making a bid. Then we'll be getting a profit of 25.
Okay.
This is thousands omitted, clearly mentioned on the top here. Thousands omitted, $1,000 omitted. The numericals, if you make it as small as easy to understand. Okay. So 1,25,000 rupees we applied, we got a bid. So 1 lakh is an expenditure, 25,000 is the profit. It means. Now is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Similarly, if you go for less than 115, if the competitor is applied, sorry, so 115, competitor is applying to 150, and we are applying for 150. So we won't be getting the contract. Then how much is the loss? 5,000 cost of bidding becomes a loss. We won't supply it at all. We won't spend any amount. So there is a loss of 5,000 for all this because he'll be winning the contract. What happened? Still doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Competitor is winning, right, sir? Competitor is winning in this
Yeah,
case.
when competitors win, we'll be having a loss of only cost of preparation of a bid.
Yes, sir.
That is 5,000, 5,000, 5,000 only. Because we made a bid for 150, 120, 125, but competitor kept for less than 150. So obviously we'll be getting a contract. He'll be getting a contract, he'll be getting a profit. For us, it is a loss. Third option, if he is applying for more than 150 but less than 120. So if same thing, if we apply for 115 and he is making more than 150, so we will be winning the contract at this point. So we'll be getting a profit of 50,000 at only 150. If we are making for 120, his bid becomes less than 120, so he will be winning. So we'll be getting a loss of 5,000 again. He is applying for less than 120, where we are applying for 125. We are not getting the contract, so we'll be losing an amount of 5,000. Right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So similarly, if he is applying for more than 120, then for two amounts, 115 and 120, we'll be getting a contract. For 125, we won't be getting a contract because he is applying less than 125. He is applying for less than 125. We are applying for 125. Then there is a loss of 5,000 only for 125. Whereas for 115 and 120, we'll be getting a contract and we'll be getting a profit. If he is applying for more than 125, then we'll be winning the contract, means we will be getting the contract and getting a profit of 15, 20, 25. Is this table is clear now?
Yes, sir.
The decision making criteria will be different based on information. So this we can put it in a decision analysis and decision tree also. So there is a possibility of 30%. So 70% losing.
How we are getting this value, sir? 0.3, 0.7. How we are getting?
0.3 is also mentioned. 30% there is a chance of winning, he said. And the competitors are not there. We read that one also in the information. Because we studied the market, I'll show you. Yeah. On the basis of the past contract, scientific tools estimated the probability of low bid from competitor at a certain dollar level. In addition, they believe there is a 30% chance that there will be a no competing bids. Means 30% people won't be there, where 70% the people competitors will be there in the contract bid. It is all based on the previous data we gathered and we got an information. So that with this information, we made a payoff table. So how much is the chance? Means 30% for these first column. Second column, it is 0.7 into 0.2. That is 0.14, 0.28, 0.21, 0.07. Based on that information only, there is a possibility of probability that scientific tools winning chances is 0.86, 0.58, 0.37. The totals of that one only, probability is total. Winning 15, 20, 25, losing is -5 only. So that the possibility of that one is based on the information. So alternative payoff table for this, what we discussed. So what is their risk factor? So a risk profile simply lists all possible monetary values and their corresponding probabilities. From the alternative payoff table, we can obtain risk profiles for scientific tools. For example, if scientific tools bids for $1,20,000, there are two possibly monetary values: a profit of 20,000 or a loss of 5,000. And their probabilities are 0.58 and 0.42 respectively. So risk profiles can be illustrated on a bar chart. So the bars above each possible monetary value measures the probability of that value occurring. Whatever is there here, so that possibilities are based on that information. Sorry. This risk profile is also presenting in a table. So alternative and EMV calculation part, which is no bid, EMV value will be 0. If there is a bid for 115, the chance of profit is 15,000 and the probability is 0.86, and the loss of 5,000 chance is 0.14. It is 120, 20,000 profit, but the loss 5,000, 42%. It is 1,25,000, 25,000 profit, 5,000 the loss, 0.63. So EMB value, if you multiply and add it, this value, and the EMB is the weighted average of possible monetary values that is weighted by their probabilities. So what exactly does the EMB mean? It means that if scientific tools were to enter many campus like this, where on each gamble the gains, losses, and the probabilities were the same, then on average it would win 12,200 per gamble. That is, if we win, we'll be getting this value. So all these are the criterias or possibilities, yes or no situations. So a decision tree is a graphical tool that can represent a decision problem with the probabilities. So with this information, whatever we made it, we are unable to understand by step or a table separately, so that we can make a decision tree composed of nodes, that is in the form of circles, squares, and triangles, and the branches with the lines. The nodes represents points in time. Like a decision node, a square is a time when the decision maker makes a decision. And the probability node, a circle is drawn, is a time when the result of an uncertain event becomes known. And the end node is given with the triangle, indicates that the problem is completed and all decisions have been made, all uncertainties have been resolved, and all payoffs have been incurred. Like this, we will consider a decision tree. We'll make a tree in which squares, circles, triangles will be utilized as a nodes. Which node? Decision node, probability node, end node. It is a square, decision node, circle, probability node, triangle, end node. You can see here, this is a decision tree, we can say. We'll discuss in detail. That is, our example is bidding for a government contract at scientific tools. So what is there here? Time proceeds from left to right for the decision tree, what I want to say. Branches leading out of a decision node representing the possible decisions, and the branches leading out of probability nodes represent the possible outcomes of uncertain events. And the probabilities are listed on the probability branches. These probabilities are conditional on the events that have already been observed. And individual monetary values are shown on the branches where they occur, and cumulative monetary values are shown to the right of the end nodes. That is, the monetary values will be shown at the end, and two values are often found to the right of each end node. The top one is the probability of getting to that end node, and the bottom one is the associated monetary value. If we want to win the contract, what is the other monetary value? So that will be shown at the end. So in the decision tree, you can see here clearly mentioned, and you're able to see scientific tool bidding. If you want bid, no bid, so there is a 0. The triangle there itself is drawing, there is no probability, directly 0. If we bid, that is yes, then 5,000 is the probability that we may get the loss of 5,000. How much to bid? This is shown on the square box, and in the rectangle box showing it as 115, 120, 125. These are the three chances are there where we can bid for 115, 120, or 125. If we bid for 115, if you want to get the bid, any competitor bids less than this, we won't be getting it. Okay, if any competitor is bidding and we are also bidding it, then 70% chance is there of other people, and 30% chance is there that no one is bidding. If no one is bidding, ours is only the contract and we'll be getting a profit of 15,000. And upon that, we'll be getting a probability. Chances of winning that profit is 0.3. Then here, winning the bidding, if we win the bid, even the competitor is applying it. If we win the bid, then 20,000 will be not a 20 actually, it must be a 15,000. That is 15,000. 15,000 possibility and probability is 56%. If you want to win the bid, then we'll be losing a 5,000. This is the loss, this is the profit. And here 80%, 20% chances are there for winning the bid or not winning the bid. Whereas for 1,20,000, any competitor is bidding, no, then we'll be getting a profit, 30% chance. If yes, there is a winning or not winning the bid. If you won't win the bid, there is a loss of 5,000. If you win the bid, profit of 20,000. Similarly for 125, any competitor, yes or no. If no, no competitor, then we'll be having a profit of 25. If the competitor is there, then there is a possibility of winning or not winning. So there is 70% in that one. So yes, if we win the bid, there is a profit of 25. If we won't win the bid, there is a loss of 5,000. Like this, a decision tree is made with the information.
Sir, when there is no competitor, 30% chances are winning.
Yes.
If competition is there, 70% chances is there.
Yes.
In that, again we are getting yes. After that 80% what and below that 20%. After that 40, 60, 10, 10, 90.
Again in this 80, 20, 40, 60, 10, 90 is whatever the 70% chances are there. Okay, whatever the 70% chance is there out of 100,
yes.
We are considering if we win the bid, the competitor also is applying it. If we win the bid, there is a chance of getting a profit of only what we can say 20,000. Example, yeah. In this 70%, if we win the bid, 80% chance is there for our profit. Yes. We made a table before.
Yes, sir. This out of 70%, there is a chance of 80% winning. Then we can calculate 7 into 8 is a 0.56. It is coming right.
Yes.
But how can we say that we can win 80%? Is there any particular fixed one? Winning a bid. Not winning bid, 7 into 2 is 0.14 is right.
80 and 20% chances when there are the people, competitors are there. We prepared a table, no? Yeah. If we keep a competitors, how much chance is there? For 115, how much chance is there?
70% is there, right?
That is the probability. Without 70% of out of 4 options. We took in a 4 option: no bid, bid for 115, 120, 125. %70 of 0.2.
0.2, 0.4 is coming, sir.
You are not understanding this one. Huh? This is based on this information. How much chance is there for the out of 115 if you consider?
0.2 is, I think, it's a probability of quoting competitors quoting less than 115. That is 20%. And probability of quoting between 115 and 120 is 40%. Probability of competitors quoting between 120 to 125 is 30%. And above 125 is 10%. So we're multiplying
Here
70% of these percentage.
That's what competitors will come with us. How many times we can say?
Here in this case, all the competitors are only winning the first column, second column. We are not getting.
We are not getting.
Yes, all are the losses. How can we say
20%? So chances is hardly 20%. The competitor comes and bidding for less than 150. The total 100% won't be the competitors in the second 150 less than 150. So the competitors will be there as for 20% here, 40% here, 30% here, 10% here.
That is mentioned, sir. In table itself, it's already mentioned. It's a problem. Already
Problem.
It is given in question, I think.
Question.
Given in question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 70% of that is considered for us to win. Then there is a chance of 80% and 20%. We need to consider 20% of them, 80% of us. So 80% of 70 is considered 56% will be the profit of 15,000. So 15,000 is the profit we'll be getting. How much chance is there? Means 0.56 only. That much chance is there to get 15,000 profit, when even if we are applying it for 1,15,000 as a bid. That is winning a bid. If you want to win the bid, after applying it 115, there is a loss of 5,000. That chance is also 14% only the chance, not 20% or 70% or 30%. So most of the time in making a decision tree, we need to analyze the question first. So to take the decision whether to apply it or not based on this chances, ultimate at the end chances. A small mistake, 40% of 70, it must be 28%. It is missing actually. So decision tree, whenever we want to make it, there is an additional information I'll be giving you related to decision tree analysis, how to prepare it. But to take any decision, if we make with the decision tree analysis, somewhat value will be there. Here it will be clear when we'll discuss about the decision tree analysis also. And the solution for the decision tree is on the next slide actually. And the solution procedure used to develop this result is called actually folding back on the tree and starting at the right on the tree and working back to the left. The procedure consists of two types of calculations. One, each probability node we calculate EMB and write it below the name of the node. That means in the decision tree you can understand it easily what is actually the solution. At each decision node we find the maximum of EMBs and write it below the node name. And after folding back is completely, we have calculated EMBs for all nodes. That is what the decision tree gives us clearly information. No bit is very false actually. True is yes. If we bid for 115 or 120 or 125, which one is the best among all these things is giving to us is at 115. Where we'll be having a much more chance to get the bid. Otherwise, rest true or false we are saying because it won't give us the right decision. So to take a decision, this decision tree analysis gives a clear picture. Anyhow, so normally a decision analysis and a decision tree, what we have seen just now, how we can prepare that one. That information here, what I want to give the information regarding the decision tree is a graphical representation of every possible sequence of decision and random outcomes, states of nature that can occur within a given decision making problem. And the decision tree is composed of a collection of nodes represented by circles and squares, interconnected by branches represented by lines. What we have seen just now, the same thing we can make it as a form. Square, circles are the nodes, and the triangles will be the end part, and these lines will be the branches we can see. So to make it this, actually a square node is called as a decision node because it represents a decision. Branches emanating from a decision node represented the different alternatives for a particular decision. So from this is a decision node, from this there are some branches which are alternative chances, alternative ways. And the circular node is the decision tree is called as an event node. What actually it happens? because it represents an uncertain event. So this is an event. In this event node, the branches emanating from an event node correspond to the possible states of nature or the possible outcomes of an uncertain event. So these are possible outcomes, we can say, from an circular node, event node, we are getting the results. That result is in the state of nature. So shown in the form of a line. So we can say this is a decision node from here to alternative A, B, C. Having an event occurs, then there is a possibility of outcomes. That outcomes may be 3, 4, 2, whatever it may be. That is the state of nature. At the end, there is a triangle. Triangular gives the results. The triangular represents the results. Like there are 4 alternatives, so 0.1, 0.4, 0.2, 0.3 is the probability. For that, how much is the payoffs, which we are getting in the form of a value. EMB value, we can say, in the monetary value. So the probability of the state of nature will be this way. So whenever the decision tree is made, evaluation of nodes is necessary. V4, that is maximum of V1, V2, V3, we need to consider. So in the maximization problem, the value assigned to a decision node is the maximum of the value of the adjacent nodes. Maximum value is to be considered among all these things is an evaluation node, we can call it as. That evaluation node, whichever is the maximum, that is our answer, we can call it as. So the evaluation node among all these things also. Circular node is multiplied the probability with the value, probability with the value, P1 with V1, P2 with V2, P3 with P3. Multiply and add up totally, that is the value assigned to an event node. In is the exception of the values that corresponding to adjacent node. You can see here 0.1 into 450, 0.4 into 1550, 0.2 into 2100, 0.3 into 2250. Combinedly, the total amount is considered 1680. So this 1680, 3216, 3096, among all these three, whichever is maximum, that is a decision node. Square box gives among all these three alternatives, the maximum, whichever is there, that is considered. If it is a maximization situation, if it is minimization, the minimum value. In this way, you need to prepare a decision tree. So most of the decision trees are prepared in this model. But you must understand the question first. You can understand the question, you can prepare a decision tree, otherwise not. Right? This is about block 4. As I told you, it is theoretical purpose. There is no numerical at all. Numerical means hardly this decision tree analysis. Yes, any queries? Any questions? Yes. Want to say something, Venkateshwarlu garu?
Example, please give the example of this. I mean, example question, sir. We will work out it.
Oh, yes, I have, but okay, I'll try to make it. 1 second. We have questions. To be clear about this, once again, check this one. Can you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
An executive has 4 alternatives, D1, D2, D3, and D4. Each of the alternatives may result in the events R1, R2, R3, R4. Probability of occurrence of these results are R1 is 0.5, 2 is 0.2, 0.2, 0.1. The payoff matrix between decision and results is indicated below. Show the decision situation in the form of a decision tree and indicate the most preferred decision to be taken by the executive and corresponding expected value. You can see even the solution value also. There is a possibility of the A1, A2, A3, A4 events where circular nodes, there are the occurrence of these events where the results will be having the what values and the probability of those things also mentioned here. EMB is for all S1, S2, S3, S4, among all these things, whichever is maximum is the decision value we can say. or you got that value is also mentioned here clearly. Are you getting my point? This is what actually we need to show. The possibility and probability payoff matrix can be shown in this decision tree. So what you do is you take an illustration question. I'll give you one. Yeah. These are all the numerical part which we have actually. We go with the question number 3. Go with the question number 3. Take a pick of this. Took the picture.
Yeah.
Need the response. Yeah. And related that this is an additional part. Advise the management by using decision tree analysis. This is also there. Consider this one also. Right? Is that clear? Okay, you
Okay.
try it. Even if you're not getting it, you can message me. No problem. I'll try to, or you can call me also. Working hours. No problem. This is there in your book only.
Okay. Okay.
And one more important point, that is about block 4. Block 5 is also there. That is also theoretical, but need to understand whatever we did in the LPP, that is additional part of LPP is there in the block 5. We'll discuss that and we'll close it. Right. And you can call me on my number. You have my number, I think so. Yes, Kumar.
Give me, sir. Give us. Sir.
I'll message it. Kept in the chat box my number and my name. You can call me, no problem. And coming to the point, as I told you, we have the last block about can you able to see my screen? Yes. Okay. These are all theoretical part actually. Whatever we discussed till now, all numerical things. Once you practice it, you have a book, take the numericals from the book, textbook also. That is the material whatever given by the university. That is also very good. Ambedkar University's material is very easy to understand, very easy to go through it. You'll be getting all the information from that material. If you read once, most of the people what they'll do is they'll take the book by fighting with the university and they'll keep it at home only. They won't open it all also before the examination also. So that is the situation most of the people will do it. That happens also. I know most of them. If there is a physical classes, we will insist the students to bring the material to the class to read, learn, and do the numericals. But because of this online classes, we are unable to. You can go through that book also. It is very easy language, easy to understand, and easy to go through it. It is very much useful for your exams also. Right? Still having any problem, you can call me. No problem at all. You can call me and ask me about the doubts. But mention that you are calling regarding the subject which was happened online, just so that I can recall you people who are attending the session, right? So this is our fifth block: integer programming, non-linear programming, goal programming is an extension of linear programming problems, which we discussed in the block 2, right? So that linear programming problem is a simple and easy business problems converting into a linear equations and solving them easily by means of graph or simplex method, right? Whereas here, what is there in this integer programming, non-linear, and goal programming? That we are going to discuss. Not every problem faced by businesses can easily fit into a neat linear programming context is not possible. A large number of business problems can be solved only if variables have integer values. Like many business problems have multiple objectives, and goal programming is an extension to linear programming that can permit multiple objectives also. And the linear programming requires linear models, and non-linear programming allows objectives and constraints to be a non-linear. Non-linear in the sense there is, I told you, linear programming is nothing but there must be a relationship between the variables. Without the relationship between the variables also, we can consider in non-linear programming and we can solve, we can get the best possible answer also for that thing. Right? So that is the situation where we are having a different complex problems, solving it by converting into a non-linear or what we can say integer or goal. So what is integer programming? An integer programming model is one where one or more of the decision variables has to take on an integer value in the final solution. Integer value in the sense in the fraction or a decimal value. There are three types of integer programming problems. That is pure integer programming where all variables have integer values. Mixed integer programming where some but not all the variables will have integer values. 0-1 integer programming are special cases in which all the decision variables must have integer solution value of 0 or 1. So these are the three types of integer programming problems. So most of the things are in the mixed integer only, not pure or 0. So integer programming where the variables is having integer values. So one of the example we are considering here, Harrison Electric Company, example of integer programming. What is there? The company produces two products popularly with home renovators, old-fashioned chandeliers and ceiling fans. Both the chandeliers and fan requires a two-step production process involving wiring and assembly. So there are two products, two processes. It takes about 2 hours to wire each chandelier and 3 hours to wire a ceiling fan. Final assembly of the chandeliers and fans requires 6 and 5 hours respectively. So two processes, that is wiring and assembly. So wiring 2 hours, 3 hours, assembly 6 hours, 5 hours. The production capability is such that only 12 hours of wiring time and 30 hours of assembly time are available. This is very clear question, which we discussed even in the linear programming also, right? So two products are the decision variables upon which two processes has to be done to produce the two product. Wiring and assembly requires some time, and the time is also having a limit, 12 hours and 30 hours. What is to be done? So that is an example of integer programming. Each candelier produces nets the firm $7 and each fan is $6. Harrison production mix decision can be formulated using linear programming. Maximum profit is 7x1 plus 6x2 if we consider the two products x1 and x2, subject to 2x1 and 3x2 less than 12, 6x1 plus 5x2 less than 30, that is wiring and assembly, and non-negativity x1, x2 greater than 0, where x1 is number of candeliers, number of ceiling fans is x2. Up to this, you know very well. I think so. Is this clear or not? Yes. Give some response.
Yes, sir.
This we discussed even in LPP at the beginning. The same thing, formulation part we did. How it is an integer part, you can check. And the solution part also we have. If we apply those two equations and graphically if it is presented, the area which is having a possibility is this area, which is a feasible area. Among that feasible points will be 3 points will be getting. Among that, the optimal point is in the intersecting point because this is having a maximum. So x1 and x2 are getting in the decimal that substituted in the objective function. We got a $35.25, which is in the integer values. Integer values. So Harrison hereditary problem has been solved and getting a profit maximum is at point B, we can say, where x1 is 3.75, x2 is 1.5, profit is 35.25. So what is there in that one is the production planner recognizes this field as problem. His first attempt at solving it to round the value to x1 is 4 and x2 is 2. Right? We got a solution here 3.75 and 1.5. Profit is 35.25, which is in the decimals. But the production of a product cannot be 3.75. What is an x1? What we took as an x1? X1 is candelier. Number of candeliers we need to produce. A product can be either 3 or 4. Like x2 is a ceiling fan. Can you produce 1.5 ceiling fan? Either you can produce one ceiling fan or two ceiling fans. Can't be 1.5. Am I making sense? What I want to say? Yes.
Yes, sir.
See, producing the product, getting a profit maximum is okay, but all are in the
Decimals.
decimals. So you can't produce 3.75 as a product or 1.5 ceiling fan as a product. So those are all integer values. So we need to attempt it by solving it to the round values. X1 to be assumed as 4, X2 is assumed to be as 2. However, this is not feasible. Rounding x2 down to 1 gives a feasible solution, but it may not be an optimal. Right? This could be solved using the enumeration method, but enumeration is generally not possible for large problems. This is normally called as integer linear programming. So to get the profit integer solutions to the Harrison Electric Company problems, if you produce candelier 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, with the chances of ceiling fans, zeros, ones, twos. So the 4 products of candeliers, 1 product of ceiling fan, you are getting a profit of 34. Solution if rounding is used. Optimal solution is to integer programming problem is 35. Here we are getting as 35. Here we are getting as 34. But which is having a particular product. 4 products of chandeliers, 1 product of ceiling fans, so that you'll be getting a profit of 34 exactly if we round it off. Like this, the solution we need to find out when there is an integer programming problem. So this is theoretically, you keep it in the mind. You won't be asking you about solving the problem for integer programming. Right? So theoretically, you can write it, you can give an example and you can make it. So the rounding solution of x1 4, x2 1 gives a profit of 34. The optimal solution x1 5, x2 0 gives a profit of 35. The optimal integer solution is less than the optimal linear programming solution. An integer solution can never be better than the linear programming solution and is usually a lesser solution. These are the differences you can say for any linear programming problem having with the integer programming problems. So you keep all these things in the mind and do whatever the solution you want to make it. One more is also there, mixed integer programming. Mixed integer programming, that is, some are decimal, some are round values, fixed values. There are many situations in which some of the variables are restricted to the integers and some are not. So Bagwell Chemical Company produces two industrial chemicals. Xylene must be produced in 50 pound bags. Excel is sold by a pound and can be produced in any quantity. So both xylene and Excel are composed of three ingredients, that is A, B, and C. So Bagwell sells xylene for $5 a bag and Excel for 1.50 per pound. So one is integer, one is non-integer. One is integer, one is non-integer. So we can convert it into a linear programming. Amount per 50 pound bag of xylene, amount per pound of petrol, amount of ingredients available. 2000 of C times of C, 200 of C. Bagwell wants to maximize the profit, so let X is the number of 50 pound bags of xylene and Y will be the number of pounds of petrol. This is a mixed integer programming problem, as Y is not required to be an integer. Are you getting my point? So Y will be in the decimals, X will be in the normal number, normal figures. That is what we want to say as mixed integer programming problem. So if you make it as linear programming formulation, maximized profit is 85x plus 1.55, subject to the condition 38 plus 0.5y less than 2000, 18x.4y less than 2x plus 0.15 is less than 200, where x and y must be greater than x is the integer. Any doubt? First one is pure integer, second one is mixed integer problem. Is this clear? Having any doubt?
No, sir.
Then non-linear programming is also there. Non-linear, there is no linear relationship. The methods seen so far have assumed that the objective functioning constants are linear. Terms such as x, 1 by x, log x, or 5x1, x2 are not allowed. But there are many non-linear relationships in the real world that would require the objective function constraints equations of both the real and non-linear. So Excel can be used to solve these non-linear programming problems. One disadvantage of non-linear programming is that the solution yielded may only be a local optimum rather than a global optimum. In other words, it may be an optimum over a particular range, but not overall. That is what non-linear programming problems are there. It can be solved by Excel, that is MS Excel, but not normally. So it is yielding an optimal solution, but not be called as global optimum. It is a local optimum. The overall optimal solution, we won't be getting it. Non-linear objective function and linear constraint. So the Greater Western Appliance Company sells two model of toaster ovens and the micro toaster X1 and the self-clean toaster X2. They earn a profit of 28 for each micro toaster, no matter the number of units sold. For the self-clean oven, profits increases as more units are sold due to a fixed overhead. So the profit function of the self-clean oven may be expressed as 21x2 plus 0.25 x2 square. The objective function is non-linear and there are two linear constraints are on production capacity and sales time available. That is maximize 28x1 plus 21x2 plus 0.25 x2 square is subject to x1 plus 21 x2 less than or equal to 1000 units of production capacity and 0.5 x1 plus 0.4 x2 when an objective function constant where it is less than or equals to 500 is also there actually. So squared terms and the problem constants are linear, it is called as quadratic programming problem. The non-linear is a quadratic programming problems actually. There are options. So non-linear programming objective function and non-linear constraints, the annual profit at a museum-sized 200 to 400 beds Hospicare Corporation Hospital depends on the number of medical patients admitted X1 and the number of surgical patients admitted X2. So the objective function for the hospital is non-linear. So they have identified three constraints. Two of are non-linear. Nursing capacity, non-linear. X-ray capacity, non-linear. Marketing budget required, which is linear. These are the different examples we can say for the non-linear programming problems. So this is also theoretical part I told you clearly. This total block you read once, just understand, and the question comes, it comes very short, mostly not long. Also, you can explain it by means of an example. Last but not least, the goal programming is also there in this block 5. What we discussed, integer programming, non-linear programming, goal programming. So in the integer programming, there are the three types: pure integer, mixed integer, and zero integer won't be possible. That is actually a non-linear programming problems, you can say. Goal programming is the one of the situations where the firms often have more than one goal. Goal programming is used when more than one goal is there for the objective function. In linear and integer programming methods, the objective function is measured in one dimension. It is not possible for linear programming to have multiple goals unless they are all measured in the same units. And this is a highly unusual situation. It is mostly unusual situation where an important technique that has been developed to supplement linear programming is goal programming. Multiple goals are there for the business to get the possible outcome for that multiple goals, we can use the linear programming problem as a supplement. But there is a situation where we need to solve based on the priority. You can see typically goals set by management can be achieved only at the expense of other goals. That means one goal is satisfied, you should not expect for the other. That is what here. The hierarchy of importance needs to be established so that higher priority goals are satisfied before lower priority goals are addressed. It is not always possible to satisfy every goal. So, goal programming attempts to reach a satisfactory level of multiple objectives. Reach a satisfactory level of multiple objectives. It is not possible that all the objectives have been satisfied. So the main difference is in the objective function where goal programming tries to minimize the deviations between goals and what we can actually achieve within the given constraints. That is very, very important point. Example of goal programming, Harrison Electrical Company is revisited. We discussed already in the integer program. Linear programming formulation for the Harrison Electric problem is maximize 7x1, 6x2 subject to these two constraints where x1, x2 we have taken. But what he says is Harrison is moving to a new location and feels that maximizing profit is not a realistic objective. Management sets a profit level of $30 that would be satisfactory. And the goal programming problem is to find the production mix that achieves this goal as closely as possible given the production time constraints. So what we need to do, we need to define two deviational variables. One is D1 equals to underachievement of the profit target. D1 plus, D1 minus, that is, D1 plus is overachievement of the profit target. So we need to make two deviational variables, D1 minus D1 plus. So we can now state the Harrison Electric problem as a single goal programming model, overachievement of a profit target, that is D1 minus plus D1 plus, subject to 7x1662 plus D1 minus D1 plus is equals to $30 profit goal constraint, where subject to the conditions are saying wiring and assembly part, where all the values D1, D2, D1 plus, D1 minus also must be greater than 0. Suppose Harrison's management wants to achieve several goals that are equal in priority. So achieve several goals that are equal in priority. Goal 1, what is the goal? To produce a profit of $30 if possible during the production process. Second goal, to fully utilize the available wiring department hours. Third, to avoid overtime in the assembly department. Goal 4, to meet a contract requirement for producing at least 7 ceiling fans. So what he has mentioned, goal 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the different goals, but priority wise, it will take the first one or second one or third one or fourth one, which is having a more priority for this company is important. So important multiple goals. The deviational variables D1 minus D1 plus or underachievement, overachievement, D2 minus idle time in the wiring department due to plus overtime in the wiring, D3 minus idle time in the assembly, D3 plus overtime in the assembly department. All these are the things which we need to consider as different goal variables, so that your extension to equally important multiple goals, because management is unconcerned about all these D1 to D4. These may be omitted from the objective function, but the new objective function and constraints are minimize total deviations subject to conditions. This profit constraint, wiring costs, hours, assembly hours, ceiling fan constraints. So these are all the different objects or the goals of the business. Right? The different goals of the business goals, so that it is differently making it. So ranking goals with priority levels. In most goal programming problems, one goal will be more important than another, which will in turn be more important than a third. So first one is more priority, second is next, third next, fourth next, like that. So higher order goals are satisfied before lower order goals. So priorities PIs are assigned to each deviational variables with the ranking, so that P1 is the most important goal, P2 is the next most important, P3 is the third, and so on. So that they are called as goal programming problems. That's all, nothing else. So we can rank them. Addison Electrical has set the following priority for their 4 goals. Reach a profit as much above $30 as possible, P1. Fully use wiring department hours available, P2. Avoid assembly department overtime, P3. Produce at least 7 ceiling fans is the P4. These are the different goals of the company. But more priority is P1, which is a profit goal they need to reach. So that this effectively means that each goal is infinitely more important than the next lower goal. With the ranking of the goals considered, the new objective function is minimize the total deviation, P1 D minus 1, P2 D2 minus, P3 D3 plus, P4 D4 minus. Constraints remain identical to the previous formulation. So normally priority levels in goal programming assume that each level is infinitely more important than the level below it. Sometimes a goal may be only 2 or 3 times more important than other. So instead of placing these goals on different levels, we place them on the same level but with different weights. So the coefficients of the deviations variables in the objective function include both priority level and the weights. So weights and the priority levels both are multiplied and shown as a objective function. You can see in the bottom, minimize P1 D minus 1, P2 D minus 2, P3 D plus, P4 to D4 minus, P4 D5. Like this, you have to make it. So goal programming is nothing but n number of goals of the business is there that we are converting into a linear programming problem. That is goal programming. What happened to the other people, I don't know. Anyhow, at the end, we are closing the sessions. We discussed almost all the blocks. Theoretical, I explained briefly, whereas numerical only where you need to concentrate, because I told you, in the most of the times in the examination question paper, you'll be finding out numerical more than the theoretical. So to attempt it, we discussed having any doubt, you can clarify it by calling me. I gave the number in the chat box. You can check. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, okay, good day, all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Radhakrishna sir, can I close? I think he might be in the other session. Okay, sir. Bye.